Hello everyone. In this video I show you how to become a mediocre druid for raids. Druid is a class that has a lot of depth to it, and in order to play it perfectly you need a lot of experience in raid encounters. However, the role of the druid in normal, casual, everyday raid groups as a healer alongside a second healer is incredibly simple. Nevertheless, many players struggle with this class due to fundamental errors or misconceptions. With this video, I will not show you how to become the next Druid god, but you will be fully capable of doing your job in a casual group. It's my goal that at the end you will say, okay, it's really easy, I can do that as well. Step 1. It should not have to be said, but it is what it is. When in a raid squad, you increase the UI in size until you can see some letters of each player's name. This way you can recognize player names during a raid and have a better view of what is going on. Now go to your options menu, tick the boxes Show all player names, Show skill recharge, Thick party health bars, Always show party health bars, Always show squad health bars. Turn the field of view slider to the maximum, scroll out your camera to the maximum, disable player camera shake, use free camera. For ground targeting, choose the option Fast with range indicator, or simply choose Instant if you prefer that one. Lock ground target at maximum skill range, and very important, do not snap ground target to current target. This option trolls you really hard on Druid because it means you can only throw your heal skills on whichever target you have selected. So if the boss is your target, you will just throw your heals at where the boss is standing, not at your group. Then go to sound options, make sure you have effects volume enabled so you can hear some of the mechanics in fights. Then go to control options and bind your profession skill 5 to something you can easily reach while in combat. The F5 key is a shit key binding for most people. Do the same for special action, and to be honest, all other buttons you need to press while in combat. But if you don't bind your profession skill to something comfortable, you don't need to learn this class. Do not click skills with your mouse, please. If you are used to clicking your skills with your mouse, then this is the perfect time to stop that habit. Thank me later. Step 2. You have many different roles and jobs as a druid, but the primary reason you are brought along, instead of other healers for example, is that you are a big increase to your squad's damage output. So it is essential that you learn how to buff the damage. Celestial Avatar. Whenever an ally is in the area of effect of one of your avatar skills, they get 2 stacks of might for 25 seconds due to your trait Grace of the Land. Since the heal firebrand covers some might for the other subgroup, you as druid can get by just providing 25 stacks for your own group and maybe about 20 stacks for the other. Here's how you do 20 might for everyone. Avatar 4 is 10 might, Avatar 5 is 8 might, Avatar 3 is 2 might. That's 20. For good measure, I then usually alternate 2 and 1 on my group for a while. Avatar 5 locks you in place and does not heal. If you want to heal or move, just don't press it and instead do more 2-1, 2-1, 2-1 spam. When your group is at full health and at 25 might, press F5 to leave Avatar manually. This means you can re-enter it sooner because it goes on cooldown earlier. To buff your group from 20 to 25 stacks, press Warhound 5 afterwards. After a 10-second cooldown, your avatar is ready again. Go into Avatar. Repeat the above. Leave Avatar after you pressed enough buttons for 25 might. Then press your weapon skills again, enter Avatar again when it's ready. Now you already know how to play Druid. Seriously, that's it, that's the class. This is enough healing output to literally solo heal all encounters including Doom CM while providing perfect boons for your squad. Step 3. Okay, I lied, there's a bit more to the gameplay than that. Avatar is not necessarily always ready. Whenever you damage something, you generate a little bit of energy. Whenever you heal something, you also generate energy, and even more than when attacking. Let's cheat. Summon your spirit of nature. Summon your other spirits. The spirit of nature heals the spirits. This gives you avatar energy. You go into avatar, you heal your spirit of nature. You leave avatar, spirit of nature refills your avatar. This simple trick gives you infinite energy while keeping your spirit of nature alive. If you are out of energy despite that spirit of nature dies sometimes, that just happens on certain fights, then you can swap to your staff, press staff 5, staff 3 for a water field blast combo and also to provide some regeneration. Then press staff 2 and staff 1 until you have energy. Do not camp staff, however, you want to move away from staff to keep your Warhound 5 of cooldown basically. Okay, now that was really everything there is to know about the Druid's skill use. As long as you enter avatar literally off cooldown and leave it whenever you have topped up the might to 25, you are doing your job and keeping everyone alive as a side product, since you maximize your healing. You can now get fancy and adapt your healing to the boss fight, but 9 out of 10 times you will be fine just using everything off cooldown. That's also incidentally the biggest mistake most beginner druids make, and the reason why I'm making this video. They don't go into avatar nearly often enough. Go into avatar, press those skills, then everything will be fine. You may have realized by now that Druid is so easy to play that it was never about mechanically good gameplay that sets apart the great Druids from the mediocre ones. It's all about decision making. Now that we have removed the decision making from the skill rotation you should be using, we can use our remaining brain power to make smart decisions. Here's the decisions we make before the fight even starts. Your utility skills. Stone Spirit, Frost Spirit and Sun Spirit. These 3 should always be used. There is a time and place for Storm Spirit. But if you need to ask in which situation to use it, then you are probably not the target audience for the Storm Spirit skill. It is used to provide fury in very specific scenarios, and it's used to provide vulnerability with very specific team compositions. You will not run into either of those situations as a beginner druid. In case you need a different utility skill, but I can't count those situations on one hand in 21 boss encounters, but still, there are 2 scenarios. Number 1, you replace Sun and Frost Spirit. One of them only. Whichever is weaker for the comp you are running. If it's mainly a Condi composition, you replace Frost Spirit. If it's mainly a power composition, you replace Sun Spirit. Try to keep the other spirit around. The other situation is in case protection is already covered, for example by Boon Thieves on Matthias, or if your group makes very questionable choices with regards to the second healer, like when they use a Tempest alongside a Druid, then you don't need the Storm Spirit. Your healing skill. The default healing skill is Water Spirit. Every 10 seconds, each player who attacks an enemy gains about 800 health. This comes out to 80 health per second, which is notably less than what Ascended Buff Food gives you, which is about 130 health per second. So activating Water Spirit then gives off a small heal, but more importantly, it gives regeneration to 10 targets. This sounds nice, but for a team composition in a casual raid clear, this is actually completely useless. You have 2 healers, so regeneration for the other subgroup is covered by the other healer, and then you only need to cover regeneration for your own subgroup. But this regeneration for your own subgroup is covered by your Warhound 4 and your Warhound 5, which both provide regeneration. So the skill does a lot less than you think in a double heal setup. Here are 2 viable alternatives you can use. Healing Spring, when you need Condition Cleanse. And Glyph of Rejuvenation, when you need a big burst heal. It heals your teammates more when you are in Celestial Avatar, but that's just a small detail. Your traits. This is just a bunch of if-else statements. If your healing skill is Water Spirit, then you run Primal Echoes. If your healing skill is not Water Spirit, you run Cultivated Synergy. If your healing skill is Healing Spring, you run Trapper's Expertise. If any of your utility skills are a glyph, then you run Verdant Etching to reduce the cooldown of all glyphs. Otherwise, you run Natural Stride. Do not use Celestial Shadow unless you know exactly why you are using it. It is the Storm Spirit among Druid traits. If you have to ask why, don't use it. If you don't run a Warhorn, which is almost always a mistake but sometimes you have no other choice, then you should run Spirited Arrival and swap your pet off cooldown. Speaking of pets, run Iboga and make it attack the boss, then forget about it. If you need CC, press F2 for 200 breakbar damage. Other pets surely have their uses, notably when you want even more CC, but this guide is about being mediocre, so leave it at Iboga and make sure it's not on passive. Step 5. No, wait, hang on. You might have noticed I have not talked about everyone's favorite elite skill yet, Entangle. Everyone says, oh, Druid is so good, you know, it brings Entangle. Well, Entangle is unbelievably bad as a skill. Stop playing it, seriously. There is one boss fight where the skill makes a lot of sense, Whale Guardian, and one boss fight where it makes some amount of sense, Samurok. Then there's the special case of escort speedruns where you use it to immobilize wargs. Okay, for all other fights, it is just a plain mistake to ever play Entangle. The reason for that is that you already have an Entangle at a 10-second cooldown inside your avatar. Press avatar 5 on Gorseval, for example, to immobilize the spirits. When the spirits break free, just press it again, it has a 10-second cooldown. Entangle is just completely useless compared to avatar 5's utility and its low cooldown. And think of what you're losing. You're losing your Spirit of Nature elite. It has a broken active skill that can revive downstate players just like that on a 32-second cooldown. And it also provides you with a ton of passive healing. It keeps your spirits alive because it will heal the spirits as soon as everyone else is at full health. And doing everything, it also provides infinite avatar energy. It allows you to go into avatar off cooldown no matter what happens. Don't trade this skill away. Entangle is really bad compared to it, you will not need it. Except for the exception of Whale Guardian and maybe sometimes Samurok. Step 6. Recap the gameplay. Whenever it is ready, go into avatar. Press 4, 5 and 3 and then use 2 and 1 until your team is healthy and your might is topped up. Leave avatar as soon as everyone is healthy. Press all your buttons, especially your Warhorn 5 because it's really good for boons. Then go into avatar again as soon as it is ready. If you have a zoomed out camera and a big field of view, you have a nice third-person view of the fight and can play it strategically. Technically, you have nothing to do, and your so-called rotation does not really require you to be awake at your keyboard, right? So this gives you time to think about mechanics. On some bosses, LFG groups will expect you to do mechanics. If you are new to Druid, it makes sense to ask before each encounter which mechanics they expect you to do. Some of those jobs are genuinely difficult. For example, Soulless Horror pushing or Kiting Doom. And it would certainly be useful to watch a guide for those boss-specific jobs. On other bosses, you can think for yourself what you can do to help. For example, you can give stability with the active of your Spirit of Nature. You can kite timed bombs at Sabathon. You can use your Iboga to pull in dangerous ranged adds at Slothasor. But for a start, your basic rotation is just enough. Druid is not hard to play in a double heal setup. You can do it today and nobody will notice that you are new to it. That is, if you have a key binding for your Celestial Avatar, because that apparently puts you ahead of 50% of the druids out there. All jokes aside, there's one final thing you can consider. You may notice that your spirits have active portions. They give some boons to 10 players. Use them whenever you can and your other jobs allow it to. Your stone spirit is of particular importance because it gives protection uptime to both subgroups. And it is your only source of protection for your subgroup. Make sure you have your spirits close to the action, so use them whenever you move in a fight, so they stay near. This makes it a lot easier to keep them alive, which is especially important for your Spirit of Nature, as this is your big avatar generation, but also your clutch revives and passive healing are coming from. Okay, now you already know everything there is to know about Heal Druid. Good luck and have fun. Thanks for watching.